So, welcome back, everyone who is listening and watching to another episode of Life, People, in Pursuit of Art. Today, I have a new friend, colleague, co-worker, Aezsha Lawrence, with me today. Aezsha, thank you for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is
Yeah.
new, man.
Yeah. Tell me, I structured this podcast and I've been thinking about a lot of this recently. I want to almost change up the structure a little bit, not too much, but I always want to have people get started and know who Aezsha is. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
no pressure. This is the job interview.
Gosh, I don't like those jobs interviews.
I know, right?
Get to know me well. Funny story. I was actually just a filmmaker. I did what every filmmaker I think did, which is go to film school. Not gonna lie, college was not my intention. I just Googled film schools in Atlanta, and next thing you know, SCAD popped up, put in one application, and I went there.
Nice.
And I was there for about 3.5 years until
Oh, wow.
I had a good money. Yeah, it was expensive, and I was like,
Okay.
let me get up out of here and go to a cheaper school. And I went to Georgia State. But
Okay.
formal wise, went to college for it because I actually loved doing it, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else than being a filmmaker. But someone told me I had a paper, and they lied to me, so I just still kind of roll with the punches with it or whatever. And 30K in debt later, here I am, producer.
Nice. Well,
But I mean, I don't think I actually intended to be a producer. I think I was just kind of feeling my way through, learning everything from directing to even some stuff in front of camera. And I just realized, you know what? I actually love putting stuff together. I love the whole process of start to finish, the sale, the packaging, to distribution. Like, I want to be a producer. And that came years later. Honestly, I probably worked every position from first AD to even down to boom operating. So I've been around, I would say, since 2011. It's 2020. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2011. I mean, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I like.
Okay. That's all right. I know it's kind of a weird question to start off. So, being that you went to SCAD, tell me about what that experience was like for you, and was the education better than you experienced at Georgia State, or was it about the same?
I would say me going to SCAD and then transferring to Georgia State was almost like the best of both worlds, to be honest with you. I think someone who is studying film should immediately, if you're choosing film, you know that you are a creative. You know that you have some ideal of wanting to be a storyteller or be involved in the process of producing stories. So when you're going to schools like SCAD, they teach you down to the very infant stages of being a creative, down to like understanding design concepts. And I remember sitting in the classes like, why am I learning how to draw? Why am I learning about, space and balance and unity? And I didn't take it serious, at that moment until I got further in my career and realized like, oh, there is a reason why I had to learn these elements, because even down to organizing, script breakdowns, floor plans, and just having an ideal beyond the storyline, it really helped me shape my mind as a creator. Because telling a story isn't just like one level field, or producing film is one level. You're able to, as a producer, communicate with all departments to say, hey, we're producing the storyline. This is the ideal, but I want to be able to connect with you on how you may articulate the story, being a hairdresser, being wardrobe, being someone who's doing the sound. And learning the basic elements of design actually at SCAD helped me with that. But like I said, I didn't really discover that until later when I transferred to Georgia State, and that was more theory. They were breaking down cinematic elements, the reason why we film, or looking at things in the frame and saying, hey, if it's there in frame, it has a purpose. What purpose does it serve? And then knowing that when we're putting together stories, we're not just throwing everything and just saying, boom, here's a set. Everything has to have a reason, because you have critics and you have people who for a living look at your films and go, I wonder why, there's a flower pot in the background. What's the purpose of that? And Georgia State taught me that, but SCAD taught me how to properly place that flower pot to have meaning.
Okay, gotcha. So Georgia State told you why it was there, and SCAD told you how to put it there.
Yeah, so I feel like it was a great intro. If people could, I don't necessarily advocate to go to film school, but even just kind of Googling the curriculum and doing the research yourself is just knowing how to actually physically and mechanically, technically, produce your story versus why you're producing it or creating it. So I think it's really how you see it too.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. What has been your, I don't want to make it seem like you're biased, but like, I guess in terms of, is there like a favorite project for you that you've done? Without and essentially crapping on all the other ones.
I don't know, because I am very, very hard on myself. I don't have a favorite project, because every time I literally finish a project, I go, I can do better. Like, I'm really hard to please when it comes to the things that I want to do. And maybe because me personally, when I did my short film, I didn't finish it. So it was just like, to me, it was like, oh, darn, like, I want to go back and finish it. And maybe this could be something that I personally like. But for right now, I would have to say, and I'm not saying this to just be, like I'm being paid to say this, but I really believe like the news project that actually you and I produced, the new Jim Crow Majority Rules, is one of my favorites.
Plug time.
All-time favorites, because it's about stories that matter. And I've done a lot of shows where I put my name, like taking my name off the projects, or just, did it for the sake of, hey, I produce full time. I don't have a side hustle. I don't have a side job. Like, I make a really good living off just producing, a decent one. I ain't really good at decent, but and I would say out of all the projects that, at work, I get a lot of pitch decks and a lot of people saying, hey, I have a great idea. New Jim Crow Majority Rules is probably my favorite, because it took me out of the work, like the system of just working in film, and being able to just creatively attach myself to a body of work that's going to do just more than just push out content.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
what, go ahead.
No, I was laughing.
Oh, okay. I forgot to mention, I may have mentioned this to you before, but with these podcasts, it's, it's not just me just asking you a bunch of questions and then saying, okay, bye. It feels like that, right? And I'm trying to break that mold, because like when I go back and listen to the podcast, like I want it to be a conversation. And so far, like I felt some podcasts, maybe like one or two have been a conversation, but others have just been like, tell me everything there is to know about you, Aezsha. So with that being said, at any point you're allowed to like, question me, or however you want to formulate something, or just about that, elaborate, something like that. So, I noticed that you're wearing an education, not incarceration hoodie. Was that done on purpose?
Actually, honestly, it's been my favorite hoodie so far.
Okay.
I've been trying this whole minimalist lifestyle,
Yeah. How's that working out?
I'm trying, because I'm a sneakerhead. Like, one of the things that I do every time I book a new production, I go buy a new pair of shoes.
I see some shoes in like the little furniture behind you there.
That's my dog walking shoes. I'm not
you have dog walking shoes.
I'm not even gonna show you my closet of shoes. Like, there's literally probably 10 to 20 boxes of just Nikes and Vans and Pumas all over the place, different colors organized. But I'm working on that. You know, I'm trying for everything I put in my closet is to give it away, and it's not really working.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
It is, and I'm actually, I'm gonna elaborate a little bit more on why I chose minimalism, not for the materialistic thing, but as a creator, the one thing I realize is that as months go by, I will look at my calendar, and I think a busy creator would be happy to say, oh wow, I have like 8 projects this month, or I have a book and busy calendar, and I am different from that. Like, I like clean calendars. I don't want to come off as busy. I don't want to have like a whole month full of just productions, because I think it takes away from my focus, and it takes away from the amount of work that I want to give to each body of work that I put myself into.
Yeah.
So I really chose just to say, like, I'm very selective now because I wasn't before, about taking certain projects that I want, I guess, to see myself in. And when I signed on to the new Jim Crow Majority Rules, I bought this sweatshirt. And it was random because it's like, it was one of those things that was sitting in my cart, and I was like, I want to wear this. Like, it means so much, but I was like, I couldn't find the purpose beyond what I knew what it meant. And literally, I linked up with Crystal, and I was like, oh, I'm wearing this sweat. I'm going to order this sweatshirt now. Like, it means something. It means a lot more, because I can look back and say, you know what? When I worked on this project, this piece, this clothing article reminds me probably of the best time I've had on this project. And I want to say me choosing to be a minimalist helped me make that decision, where it's just like, if I'm going to produce this work, I need to be this work. And to be this work, even down to clothing myself, operating, reading the articles, the books, and only consuming myself with any media that pertains to the theme in this film, that's all me for the next 90 days that I'm working on this. So, I mean, that's why I bought it. Okay. It's almost like I came up with this story to say I am a horrible shopper, but in all honesty, I probably have like 10 Amazon packages outside my door right now.
Oh, wow.
But to be fair, I am moving, so.
Okay. Oh, speaking of, did you find anything yesterday?
No, and crazy enough, I was not in the mind to purchase a house. Okay. Now we're going to be purchasing a house. I don't like the city.
Really? Okay.
I like to go there from time to time. Every time we get production, we're filming in the city, and it makes me so mad, because it's like, I always got to figure out parking, got to figure out noise ordinance in the city at that. And it's just like, it's already noisy. Like, we're just a production. Yeah. But as far as like raising my son, being, in around good schools, I honestly like the suburbs.
Okay.
I didn't really grow up. Well, technically, did I grow up? I mean, I came here when I was like 12.
Where'd you move from?
South Carolina.
That's right. Okay. It's coming back. Oh, okay. Been there a couple times.
Yeah, I like to say Myrtle Beach because people know Myrtle Beach, but when I start to go backwards and be like, okay, do you know Francis Marion? And they'd be like, I was like, all right, because I got to go 2 more cities under that, and you would never know where I came from. Yeah. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Funny story. The Army, there's this like task that they do where they, they jump out of the airplanes and they have to find their way back to base. One time in my grandmother's backyard, we witnessed that, them being dropped off. And they had a compass, and they were just running through the fields.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I was like, see, Grandma, you live in the middle of nowhere.
Right. The Army's dropping off recruits. That's funny. Trainees.
So that's where I'm from, and I love the sound of no sound when it comes to the city.
crickets chirping, you can see the stars at night kind of thing.
Yes, I don't want the pollution. I want to see the stars.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
the grass, all of that.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I think Gwinnett, it's a good spot. You ever thought about Cobb County, or is that just too?
That's
Say what?
what's in Cobb County.
I'm sorry, it broke up. What'd you say?
What's in Cobb County?
Oh, Marietta, Ackworth,
Oh,
like tips of Smyrna. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's too far. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't that like becoming more of a city?
Yeah, Marietta itself. It's kind of like a I don't know. I haven't been there in forever. Marietta. So
But you get big houses in
yeah.
Gwinnett. I would say that. Like we were looking at houses just last night, talking to the agent, and they were just like, "Hey, you can get a new build that's like 4,000 square feet, under 250." I'm like,
Damn. Okay.
"Oh, you got my attention."
Right. Shut up and take my money.
I know, right? But still, I'm still kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready to buy a house.
Yeah.
It's
a lot.
scary.
It is scary.
Commitment.
But I mean, if it's a new build, at least you don't have to worry about like, any kind of remodeling issues or, any structural damage for at least, 10 years.
New everything. Me and my husband tried flipping a house a long time ago. It was a very horrible mistake.
What did you put into it?
Nothing.
Oh.
Because literally at the start of it was just like, yeah, this has a septic tank. Is the HVAC is super cool.
Wow.
And when I tell you newbies, we were literally 21.
Okay.
And we had college refund checks. I go and
let's do it.
Property, and we're
gonna be on HGTV. Next thing you know,
she's like, we're gonna get a house that was made in '92, the year we were born, and it's like, that is horrible. They have not replaced the HVAC and the septic tank and none of this stuff since.
Shit, that's like $20,000 right there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember literally hearing that before you even get started, like you need to do just $48,000 of just internal work on the house. And I was like, before we buy it, like before like we even talk about the price of the house, and it was a foreclosed. The foreclosed was like $60,000.
Yeah.
I wasn't about to do it. Plus, like the house was next to it, it wasn't even worth it. But we got out of that really quickly.
There you go. Before you get tied to it. Oh, that's funny.
That's where I actually got the money from.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Oh, just like, sorry.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to remember. I think you and Marvin were talking on set, and it had to do with your grandma's property.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really get a chance to like fully grasp what you guys were talking about. Just kind of like snippets of it. So tell me like what was going on and what was the resolve?
So I think we were talking about just kind of like education when it comes to like ownership and such. I know growing up, my grandparents, we were on this farm, and I mean, we can talk from Walmart to just Sunbeam, or I'm trying to think who else, Tabasco, used to have, a couple of crops on our field or whatever like that, on our land. And I think when I was born, they were kind of leaving that field, but they had like over hundreds of acres of land. And my grandfather, who is a very smart man, and also realizing the climate, that he also has an 8th grade education, because at that time growing up, there was no high school for him to go to do education. So he's very sharp for someone who didn't get to extend, their education. So he got into basically cultivating of land. Naturally, his grandparents were sharecroppers, and he kept the land in our family for a very long time. When we were on set, we were just talking about one of the, I think he's a lawyer, but the house that we rented when we were shooting New Jim Crow, he was talking about the work that he does to basically reversing the land that most Black families lost, didn't even know that they lost due to like city developments and such. And in that process, he was saying that just a lot of Black Americans just don't know the whole legal or legality around like ownership, like owning your land, owning your property. And I remember, you know, coming from a small town where I'm hearing my grandfather talk about, you know, like he had some problems with the land and the taxes because someone that he didn't know came and paid ahead of his property tax, basically trying to reverse the land so that they can take it from him. And because he didn't necessarily understand what was going on, he didn't quite have enough help when he was going around to the county, going to the police, and they were behind on it. They knew exactly what was happening, but they didn't see a reason to, I guess, help my grandfather. It's almost like it was all planned against him. And even trying to fight up to the levels of, you know, county, state, they all just had this whole system that was just created for him to just kind of deal with it. And I realized that a lot of Black farmers, and this is actually tied into some of the work that I am currently writing and producing about Black farmers and just agriculture in general in the South to Black agriculture, is reversal of their land. Like there being companies that are just kind of taking lands and giving small petty payouts because they try to offer him money. You know, it wasn't anywhere near what, you know, I don't even think it was 5 figures to take the land. And then he signed the contract not really knowing what it entailed to, but he had companies that were putting cell phone towers like right behind my grandmother's house. And we know how dangerous that could be, you know? Just going to destroy the land and putting down random crops and just, you know, just things that he wouldn't necessarily do as a business or in the culture, but because he didn't have the support from his own state, there was nothing he could do.
That's unfortunate.
So, yeah, so me and Marvin talked a lot about what it means to just kind of be able to, because outside of film, like I do a lot of nonprofit, and he has his own water company and such, and we're just thinking of the basic living when it comes to land, water, or nature in general for African Americans. It's just like we don't have enough of representation of our community that is in those sectors, in those fields doing the work. So because we don't have a lot of people that look like us that work in that field, then they don't necessarily think about the developments and the access that we need as a community.
Yeah. Damn.
So that's why we have food deserts. That's why we have, you know, reversal of land, possessions, you know, and all this stuff like that. And at one point I was studying real estate because I wanted to help my grandfather. And this is me, you know, like, oh, like, how can I help? Like, I want to figure this out. But, you know, like I said, when you don't really have the support from your own state, it's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah. It's like, where do you even start?
Yeah. And I think, too, that contributes to me wanting to be a filmmaker is seeing a lot of things growing up. Like I said, I grew up in deep South Carolina, seeing it all from the Ku Klux Klan to, you know, everything. And having these stories and seeing my grandparents, you know, basically tell me like, oh, you know, we're going to Myrtle Beach, but also this is, you know, the time where the Ku Klux Klan wants to have their rally. So I know it's our weekend to go to the beach, but we're not going to go.
Yeah.
And being that I was born in the 90s, and this is still happening, you think this is something that you only see in textbooks because that's what they teach in school. They tell us that this is the only time period where this is happening, that it's happening in America.
Mean, you can go to Stone Mountain and that's their hub.
You know, I actually, in college, I used to work at Stone Mountain.
Oh, really?
Listen, God has a very funny joke, I would say, about my dad in life, because everything of my being has a story. And I worked at Stone Mountain Park. I was like damn near a manager. And there was one day in that park where, and I don't know if I can really talk, but there's one day of this park where the founders, who are also, I believe, associated with the Sons of Daughters or whatever of Memphis, which is almost like I would say a grand dragon. I don't know the term. Keep it short and simple. They was part of the KKK.
Okay.
And they had exclusive rights on this day to come to the park and do their tradition, which is to be clothed and walk around in their caps and stuff and just have a family day. It's funny because they were literally like eating hot dogs on the laser lawn and wearing Ku Klux Klan outfits. So that day, the owner selected a handful of us who he believed would be able to handle this properly. And when I knew it wasn't me, because he told me not to come in and work that day. But I had a good friend who was called in, who they believe would be someone who would be able to handle what he saw. Let's just say, long story short, there was a huge altercation because one of a child, and we're saying a child, someone who's about 10 years old, decided to spit on my coworker and call him the N-word. And that led into an altercation. And I'm bringing this up because it's like, this was 2017, and I believe that a 10-year-old at that time, in an environment where people were just going around the park and expressing their love for the KKK, and it's like, we're literally in the 21st century and we're not talking about this, and they're telling us as the workers, mostly people of color, because it was that park, I would say most of the workers were people of color. They're basically telling us, like, we believe you can handle. And it's like, how do you even put that on us to handle? Like, their whole culture is about their hate for us.
Right. So why would you?
Like, why can't you say no? Why can't you just say, we're not going to stand for having this, this here today at Stone Mountain Park? Well, honestly, it's not owned by, like, they own the park, or they own that rock of a mountain or whatever. So they have to honor it.
Yeah.
Stone Mountain, which is, and I don't know if I can say this, but that company, the entertainment company that runs it, they are only leasing the land.
Yeah.
So they're not owners of it. The actual owners are some type of political people in Tennessee. And the only reason I know is because it's in the handbook. But
that's fascinating.
After that involvement, I had to just kind of like reflect and just like, I don't necessarily know. And it's funny because I grew up in the Deep South, went to school in Gwinnett County. I don't think I was aware of just I was not aware of me being like a Black American until I went to SCAD. And, being that I've seen, like racist riots or, or whatever like that, it was when I was, going to a majority European school. Like, I went to the Savannah campus at first, and there was a lot of Europeans from Spain, from France. We also had a lot of Asians that attend the school, a lot of international people. And one of the common questions I kept getting was, am I from Africa? Or they would ask me specifically about, have I ever, been affected by the racism? And when they mean by racism, they mean like, can I use the same water fountain as a white person? Because the literature, and I would say the history that they're given in Europe is so dated. They don't even talk about, they make it seem like this only happened in this time period. And they don't get the outcome of what happened after that. So they come to America and they ask people of color to give their side of the story as if like, we lived through that. We lived through a new era of Jim Crow, but we didn't live through that. Like my grandmother, she desegregated South Carolina schools, and she, told me about her, going through that whole process, being spit on, being told she can't come back, and you know, not wanting to do it. And then I'm like, I didn't experience that, but I damn sure experienced like the newer age of racism, and it didn't start until I got to college. So, yeah.
It's all very interesting. And it's weird that Stone Mountain labels itself or advertises itself as a family-friendly, family cultured, theme park, and then you got this going on.
And it's Christian. That we forget that part. Like, it's supposed to be a Christian entertainment. But I mean, I think this is, like I said, politics, law. They're only leasing Stone Mountain. They don't own Stone Mountain. They don't, they're just something that just rests there for the time being. But the actual owners of Stone Mountain Park, like, these are people who've been involved with racism, new Jim Crow out of Texas. I mean, not Texas, out of Tennessee for years. Yeah. And they're just making money by allowing the park to just have entertainment. But outside of Stone Mountain, which I don't think the entity itself is for what they do. I think, but I'm also like, silently, they're just kind of taking advantage of just the land itself and not really understanding like their involvement with this land has a larger consequence to people of color.
Yeah. So with all this talk of I'm trying to formulate the question based on just our conversation, is that the kind of content you strictly want to focus on? Just more like, sounds like social injustice.
Actually no. It's levels, because, and I'll give a background on why I actually don't like the word content. I don't like the term content creator. I don't like any of that, because I think what it does is minimize the amount of work and art that a person puts in to create storylines. And I think a content creator is a job that needs to be fulfilled at a corporate, like a corporation. Mm-hmm. But a filmmaker, you're not going to find a job for a filmmaker anywhere. Right. Someone who is, I would say, committed to the body of work, the structure of film itself, versus a content creator is constantly pushing out, content like it's just a corporation of itself. Right. I think, honestly, because of like, because of the things that I have experienced in life, I'm kind of attracting social justice and more films that are related to, when it comes to people, specifically Black Americans, when it talks about social unjust or whatever, because of the experiences that I have. I feel like I can bring a level of authenticity when it comes to those things, because I have, I can put together a team that somewhat, can contribute to the body of art itself. So I don't necessarily want to just keep pushing out the same genre. Ideally, I just want to create work and put out work where, faces that I would say mainstream media kind of just put together a ideal of the Black experience life, when simply we're people. Like, we live the same lives as other humans. The only times our lives are affected or they're different is because another race will insert themselves on what we should live and how we should react to implications of them being involved in our lives. So the thing is, it's just like, I can make a simple story, a romantic comedy, and it not be labeled a Black film. Why can't it just be a romantic comedy? Yeah. Why can't it, if I make a horror, because I'm a huge horror fan. I love horror stories. I wanted to be a horror filmmaker, to be honest with you. And I remember being told by my professor at SCAD, like, Black people don't make scary movies. And I'm like, Conjure and Hess, like, one of my favorites. Yeah. That's horror. And they're just like, no, like, if you're going to be in this industry, you need to stick with the Tyler Perrys, the BETs. And that was actually when I was like, I gotta get the fuck up out of SCAD, because they're
Really?
trying to put me in this
Box.
just kind of in this box. Like, you can only commit to this. While, you know, growing up, land of nothing, there was no stores, we're on the farmland, the only thing I had was television. So I watched everything you think of, from old expressionism films, international cinema. I really love the avant-garde. Like, I really like, when I say film cinema, I mean that shit. Like, I'm not talking Marvel, I'm not talking current age films, I'm literally talking about the cinema that my grandparents watched, or their grandparents, because I sat down and I looked at those things with them, you know, growing up. So I just don't understand why we can't just, you know, as Black creators, I don't understand why we just can't make anything that's just, we're just telling a story. Because that's all that I'm wanting to do, is just tell a story and let someone know that you may have a story that affects millions, thousands, or hundreds, and it can get across. And you may find healing within revealing just a general story.
Right.
So I don't really want to say I want to focus on those type of things. I'm just interested in the story.
Okay. If you had to name your favorite, I mean, you just mentioned one. If you're like your top 3 horror films.
Oh, top 3. The very first one is The Exorcist.
1974.
We're talking about the original Exorcist movie. I think that's 1973.
Yeah.
I love horror that is on the unseen. Like, that has to deal with just kind of a psychological pull on what it means to be afraid.
Yeah.
And that's being afraid of the unseen. Not that it's a religious film. I don't even think it's religious. I think people count it out, I guess, from being a faith-based film, because technically it is. If you look it up, it's actually considered a faith-based film. And the crazy thing about it is just like, it's one of those things where I really feel like we all have thought about, like, what if I got possessed? Like, I don't, like, what if I woke up and I wasn't in my right mind, or something was taking control of me?
You're in the corner watching, but yeah, something crazy. Yeah.
I know, like, I would say that's one of my favorite films. Another one, which is, I'm dying to see it, but COVID has literally just said, fuck it, and I don't know what's happening. But, I hate saying his name, Man Candy. But
What?
I said it backwards, Man Candy. So you're just going to have to switch it. I'm not saying his name. You never heard of that movie?
Man Candy?
Switch it.
Backwards. I'm going to have to write this out.
Don't write it backwards. So Candy and a not female, but...
Oh, Candyman?
Yes! You've never seen any of those?
No.
David!
Look, I tried to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I couldn't do it. So,
oh my gosh! You have to watch it.
You can't. Why can't you say it? Is it just like a jinx against yourself? Like, you're gonna
my God! You see it, David?
I'm gonna be on the news tomorrow.
You don't watch things that's like folklore, or you know, like those long tales of, don't say the person's name in the mirror 5 times.
Listen, I tried to do the whole Bloody Mary thing when I was in like 5th grade.
You're crazy.
And like, I like got in the bathroom and I had the lights off and I was standing, because the bathroom had like a long ass mirror.
David, how old were you?
I was like 12, and I was like, I got to like I said it twice, and I'm like, I got too scared, I ran out.
Yo, we did it. I would never remember. Like, I cannot forget this. I think I was in 5th grade, and I had like a birthday party.
It's always 5th grade.
I know, it's crazy. And I had a birthday party, and some asshole out the bunch said, hey, we should go in the bathroom and then say Bloody Mary like so many times. And I'm like, no, we're not gonna do that. Now let me give you a little hip to Black mamas. First of all, my mama told us to be in one room and one room only. So we definitely was not in one room. We all went to her bathroom, her master bathroom, cut off the lights, started saying, and we got so scared in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, the mirror broke. It's in here to get us. No, some dumbass threw a brush because they got afraid and cracked my mirror, my mother's mirror.
Oh.
So we're running out of there. We're hearing the all the glass and the mirror break.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's like, oh my God, they're gonna come to me in my house and they're gonna get us. And I'm like, you asshole! Like, my mom's mirror is broken.
Right. Forget your life. You gotta think about mine. She gonna kick my ass.
I'm scared of Bloody Mary right now. I'm scared of my mama. Like, she had to come up and realize, like, what was y'all doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Mom, we were in there seancing and
Seancing. We had the Ouija board and conjuring spirits.
That's one thing I have to cross the limit. I love scary things, but I'm not playing with no Ouija board.
Yeah.
You play a Ouija board?
I haven't. I heard they're actually real. They're not just, snake oil.
Don't play with it.
They're real. They work.
I'm not doing it. But I'm telling you, we did a short film, a horror film in college, and one of the our teammates wanted to actually bring in a Ouija board, and I was just like, deuces, I'm no longer a part of this project.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not gonna be real. I don't care, because that shit is scary. I've actually heard horror stories about this Ouija board situation, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll watch somebody on the screen, but I won't.
Yeah.
I'm scary. I like horror, but I'm scary. How about that?
Yeah. There's have you ever had those, and it's kind of going off topic. I know we started talking about film, but that's okay. Have you ever had those, like, you're sleeping but you're awake and you have those half dreams, and like you feel like you're totally paralyzed, but like there's something in the doorway. Yeah. There's like something coming towards you and you just can't do nothing. You just you're like, oh my God. And I got goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yo, that is crazy because one of the things, like I said, grew up deep south, which means a lot of like the elders in my family have that strange superstitious, just kind of spirit thing going on.
Yeah.
And one of the time, I will never forget when this happened to me, and I was explaining it to my grandmother, and she just started praying on me, throwing water and speaking in tongues, and she's like, "That's a hag, girl. That's a hag." And I'm like, first of all,
hold on.
Why you throwing water on me? What's happening? Why are you speaking in tongues? Like, am I possessed? Oh my God, grandma,
start speaking Latin.
So she told me they call it a hag or whatever like that. And it was basically trying to
Babadook.
That movie is funny, first of all.
I haven't seen it. I heard it was scary. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that movie is so funny, but I probably shouldn't laugh at that, but that is really funny. But
it's behind you. I'm just kidding.
Hey, David. Like, literally, they want to come for me. I'm ready. But what was it like? Yeah, so the hag. And actually the first set of scripts that I started to write, like when I wanted to get in horror, was about this hag. Okay. And I've had it happen to me like countless many times.
It's the weirdest thing, and there's nothing you can do.
Or when you're like trying to scream and talk.
Yeah.
And it's like you like.
Oh. So there was this time where, and it was maybe in like the last 3 months, because I think me and Megan were coming back from New Orleans, and yeah, and we were like at a gravesite. We saw Marie Laveau and all that stuff, and we were listening to a pod. What?
Why would y'all do that?
Because Nicolas Cage has a tomb there.
Really?
It's in the form of a pyramid, and that's all I'm gonna say.
I've been there a million times, and I have not. Listen, my husband's from New Orleans, so it's like I've been there a million times, and I have not gone to no gravesite, and will not.
Yeah, he's not dead, but he's got his own tombstone.
I know he's not dead, so it's like,
yeah.
But he's
I don't know.
Isn't he?
I don't know. Hey Siri, where's Nick Cage born?
Siri knows.
Nicolas Cage was born in Long Beach, California.
Long Beach, California.
Wait, does her Siri has a British accent?
Yeah, I gave her an Irish female. Because I've been like, I watch Peaky Blinders, and so.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, but no, going back to it, there was a time. Okay, so we're coming back to New Orleans, and we're listening to a podcast, and they were talking about it was this podcast called Morbid. I think they did like a little like quick special of like sleep paralysis and the things that people experience during this phenomenon, and they were describing their experiences. And so one that happened to me, and it was very similar to what they were talking about. So I don't know if this is like this unconscious connection, like wavelength connection that all human beings have. I'm sure it exists. We just don't know how to tap into it or call it such. Anyway, so I was laying, and this is actually when I was in Charlotte at the time. So I was laying in bed, and in my parents' house, there's basically just like a suite above the garage, and it has 2 crawl space doors. And at the time, I was half asleep, half awake, and I was like waking up, and I felt like something grabbed my arm, and I could feel myself trying to scream and yell, but it was just like it was super weak. And then like I woke up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sweating and like goosebumps, and I'm just like heart is racing, and like I see the crawl space door open like maybe a foot. I'm like, oh Jesus.
Listen, yeah, it's funny because I used to ask my grandma. I go, well, how do I stop this from happening? She says, just scream Jesus. It worked for me, honestly.
Okay.
If I can get my voice out.
Yeah, right.
Thinking it.
Yeah, they're probably like, oh hell, all right, no, she on that Jesus kick. I'm out.
Listen, I don't play. When grandma tell me to do something, if it
right.
came from the Lord, I listen because she been here longer than I have.
True.
But horror, yeah, that it holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like projects and stuff, and I'm looking for one. I'm actually writing one for October. I don't know how this COVID thing is going to play out, but
well, they say the summer like it can't survive in heat, like it doesn't do well on extreme temperatures, like Georgia. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
I don't even know how COVID like. I'm like, is it in the air? Like, I don't know.
It's not in the air. If it was airborne, everyone would have it.
Yeah, but I just know
be really panicking.
I've been in the house with my son, and we don't go anywhere. And for somebody who really loves to occasionally visit Target, I really feel like I'm having withdrawals
from Target.
Yeah.
Don't go back right away, because then you'd be like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm not. That's another thing. And I've been telling everyone, just like when everybody goes out, I think that's going to be where it hits us the most. But to say this, I really think I did production last year from October to December where I had to travel. And I thought I had the flu twice, once in November and then right around Christmas time. Yeah. The one that I had in November was obviously a typical flu. When I got sick around Christmas time, I mean, I was coughing up my lungs. It was the worst, like, feeling I've never felt before. Now, crazy enough, when I was in high school, I had the swine flu. Funny. Okay. So I remember when I had the swine, I will never forget that because that was a whole just ball game. Like, that was days of having a fever. Yeah. And I was actually out of school for like damn near 12 days. Yeah. Or whatever. This go around Christmas time, I was so sick. Like I couldn't taste anything. I was just miserable. And then my family came to visit for Christmas. And then I just started watching. My mom got sick. My grandmother got sick. My aunt got sick. Everyone who came in contact with me got sick. And my aunt was hospitalized. And she had to put on the breathing thing. So we were all thinking like we recovered, but I'm pretty sure COVID was definitely here in the United States in December. Earlier than that, because the only way I'm thinking I could have gotten it is when I was traveling, going in and out the airport. Yeah. So they're not telling us something. But that, whatever I was experiencing around Christmas time, took my joy of Christmas, even though I really never have a joy of Christmas. But yeah, you will never get a favorite holiday movie from me, by the way. Okay. I'm the Grinch.
Okay. Except for that one, right? That's a good holiday movie.
Yeah, it is.
they're animated original. The Jim Carrey's one is good too.
Yeah. Jim Carrey. I'm glad you mentioned him because I like to think of myself as Jim Carrey.
Do you?
I love him. I think people don't really take him as serious as he should be taken serious.
Yeah.
I would say this. I read an article where he was giving credit to the Wayans because he was just like, if it wasn't for those two Black creative men, he would have never had his chance in Hollywood.
Right.
And I was like, wow, you're so right, Jim Carrey, because I don't know anybody like your nature that came directly from Hollywood, like their start. And Jim Carrey, have you watched Kidding?
No. That's the FX show, right? I think we talked about that.
Showtime. Get off this podcast right now and go watch it. What you doing?
Start typing. No, have you seen? I think it's Living Color.
Have I seen?
No. I don't know if I got the name correct. It's the skits that they did
in Living Color.
In Living Color, yeah. So I think. No, I crack up every time I see Fire Marshal Bill's skits, especially the one where he's reviving himself. Those are the absolute best.
Listen, I miss those. And I think now these days, like when we're talking about, and I know we're like jumping all over the place. You can edit this how you want to.
That's all good. There's like two things I want to cut out, but.
But the crazy thing is like when we look at that whole 90s play out of, In Living Color, Martin, a whole bunch of just sketch comedy shows, sitcoms or whatever you would call it, especially in like Black entertainment. We have TikTok, or I would like to say Vine, because I grew up on Vine.
Right.
I miss Vine so much. Come back to Vine. But
why did they drop out?
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
This TikTok thing, look, I'm sick of these dances. I don't want
Too many.
I don't have rhythm to even be like trying to be on there, renegade.
You're preaching to the choir.
But the content that comes out of it, which is those skits, those funny little skits, or whatever. I'm like, wow, it's like we're watching what we grew up on with the, In Living Color and such. Now it's like on our Palm Pilot of our
Palm Pilot.
Nice. Like it's Palm Pilot is such a
that's kind of old, but it's all good. I know what you meant.
But I really like where we're shifting to. It's really interesting. I did consider going to get my master's because some point of my life I want to teach film, like film history. But just with the prices of college, I'm gonna figure out how to do it without getting this master's. But I would say we need a whole new curriculum as it relates to making film for devices like your phone, or and I think that's why content creator is the word for it. But I don't want to eliminate like the whole foundation of film, like actually learning techniques and learning why you do what you do when creating a story. The fact that you can get a regular person who just has a sense of humor to create a whole storyline in 6 seconds, that is impeccable. I have pitch decks that they don't even know how to give me a log line. But these people can go and create a 6-second video with a whole plot, climax, rise to action, all that good stuff.
It's all the same.
And they don't have an educational background. So I really feel like people who are wanting to go to school and wanting to learn, like, how can I create stories, in this day, we really need to update the curriculum. Like, yes, some of the old stuff, but give them tools. And I think that's what is my drawback with college, is because they are relating too toughly on the old foundation of film, and they're not really teaching and guiding
the new media concepts and things like that.
Because when you think about, and I'm going to go analytical, studying like within the frame, and that whole concept is all based off of like a widescreen, like a movie screen, film itself with texture. And I'm like, we don't have that when we're looking at stuff with our phones. So how can that theory translate to phone content? And I like Quibi. If you haven't downloaded Quibi, I'm not a person who has
This
been
episode
paid
is sponsored by.
by Quibi.
Just
But
kidding.
I just think it's so amazing that I'm looking at a whole show like on my phone vertically. And then when I basically turn my phone, horizontal, the whole frame changes and it fits and it doesn't disrupt the story. It doesn't seem like it's like.
So it implies that accelerometer, I don't know what the technology is on the phone, but the screen rotation. Is that why everyone's like talking so much about Quibi? Because I thought it was just another streaming service.
So amazing because it's like even if it's up front, you're not getting the black boundaries. You're not getting like it's filling the phone and it doesn't take away from.
But it doesn't distort the aspect
it
ratio.
Doesn't distort anything. It's like the cuts and everything. It's just like.
So you could technically just do this the whole. I mean, you won't be able to watch it, but and it would just.
You can literally, because I remember I was literally laying down watching my phone like this, and then I turned over and I'm like, wow, like it fills the screen and I'm not losing anything.
Does it? I'd have to do it and check it out myself, but like, with 9 by 6, I'm sorry, was it 60? Well, you got the widescreen, but then you go 9 by 16. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, if you had a character here, right? And then you went here, does it like go over here?
No, it stays. So it's like,
does it like
here, you flip me over, I'm still in the same perspective. Like it's still the 180 line still exists, even in technology.
Why does it?
You would think when you flip it, they will be on the other side. Like, no, it's like they shot this separately in 2 different angles the whole entire way.
We're not flipping the axis, but like because of like the space on your phone, and some phones are different. Like,
that's a cute
thank you. That was at the at Topgolf. But like, say if a character is here, right? They're heavy right, and then you rotate it. Like, with the aspect ratio change, making that character go over here, because I assume originally it was shot in widescreen, but if it goes to you know what I'm saying?
So the thing is, I think what also happens, and I hope I'm answering, is that it goes to a tight shot of them talking.
Oh. So instead of like a wide shot where the character's
it's like a whole different edit, but it still is the same edit. So instead of us seeing a wide shot, now we're a tight shot of this character.
But even if is that for just like, that's so weird because if
download it, it's free for 90 days.
90 days?
Download it.
No, I'm just curious because like, does it have older movies on this app too?
No. So here's the thing, and I've been finding this out for I actually have content on shop. I need to shop to them in the process. But I think it's their own originals right now.
Okay, that makes sense. So they probably shot it
for Quibi.
Okay, gotcha. I thought they took like a movie like Memento and put it on there. Like, it wasn't cut like that.
No, I don't think they could do that.
Yeah, that's why I was getting confused. So being that it's their own content, that makes more sense.
I know, but I am curious. Like, what if they do put,
Did you have to yeah.
What would that do?
Then that really gives me peace of mind.
David, what you trying to do in the streets?
What I'm going to try to do in the streets?
The hard life of film.
The hard life of film. You've watched my pilot of Trace, and I want to get your, first off, before going into all that, I want to get your honest opinion of it.
Okay.
You're analytical. If you don't like it, you don't like it. So, but I just want to kind of know what's your take on it.
Okay. So I am a big fan of creators that can look at something and mimic. So I think we get too caught up in we need to create the next new big thing. And I'm like, no, create what's already out there, put an interesting and a unique spin on it. Because what sells. And I think what they don't teach in school and what most creators forget is that you still have to, like, forget all that stuff. You have to make a living. I'm not a person that's saying do this part-time because you love it. This is your hobby. This is work. You put in this work for a reason, and it has to return something. So you have to think about, is this sellable? Can it reach? And I think the really biggest thing that made me was okay, this is a really great project. Watch and Trace was that you took a formula. I can tell that you're a big fan of action or I would say like crime thriller or whatever. That formula structure that we get when we're watching USA, I can see this on USA. I can see this on, FX because they have a specific formula. And you created that show based off of what people are used to. So I like the pauses. I like, the buildups and such. I am aware that, we can't really create a full-on action film. And I don't know, what was your budget?
7,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That was pretty good for $7,000.
Thank you.
No, that was really impressive.
Thank you.
Because I stay away from action. I'm not gonna lie. Unless I have like at least 6 figures, I always stay away from action because it's really hard to pull off. Yeah. But because you have a nice storyline and you kind of left us hanging because it's like, when are you gonna do the rest of the series? Because now we're committed to it. You left us in a way where it's like, I have to tune in to watch it. And it's a series that I can follow. So the simplicity of the story is one great thing that I like. I do love all the camera shots, all the movements. One thing is that I get really aggravated with shaky cams when it's not called for a shaky moment. And I think that you deliberately had a moment where you're just like, I want it to be stilled. I want it to not have any movement. I want this to be a little bit more intrusive when we're going into our characters. But then, all the action scenes, I really love the cuts. They were really good. And your actors, your performers were amazing too. Because like I said, it's really hard to really achieve an action film on a shoestring budget. One of the things I did not too much like was the coloring.
Okay.
That was the one thing that kind of took me to where I couldn't figure out. I don't know. The coloring kind of disrupt me of the time, not the nature. It kind of also had me thinking this is borderline fantasy, which I know, the main character, he's almost like magician-like. Yeah. But it pushed me too forward into like fantasy. I would actually like to see that style only when we're interacting with him, but not the whole show in general.
Okay.
Almost like we know that when we see this style or his look, that we're entering into his world, and it's not, kind of hovering over us the whole entire time. Which that could be a play on that, but there would have to be a consistent. I would say it would have to be consistent from going from his world to her world, or whenever he's lingering or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So almost have it like seep into her, like it just do a different color scheme.
Like not a cut into like new color, but literally as she's navigating us to him, that's when we're starting to see like the scene of color changes. Okay. And actually, when I saw that, I don't know if you watched True Blood.
No.
David! You gotta watch True Blood too. Like it's so good.
Text me a list of her.
I know. I'm just text you a list. But they had a really good scene, and it's more fantasy, and it's not thriller. I mean, I know yours is not like True Blood, but I love how whenever the main character would leave her reality to go into this fantasy-like world, it was almost like she was leaving the color of her reality into a new world. Okay. So it's just like we used her as a vessel to get to that world that we don't have connection to, and it's only through her. And that was the only time we saw, like, she was coming from gritty, Bon Temps, New Orleans or whatever like that, into this clean image world of like fairies and vampires or whatever like that. So you change, theoretically, you're changing the atmosphere through color.
Okay. Gotcha.
What else?
Unless,
There was
go
some
ahead.
instances where you cut in the same scene.
Cut in the same scene.
So I think it was the bar scene. Like she's talking and you cut and she's still talking.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find the time code, but yeah, there is a cut where it's like the same scene, she's doing the same thing, and we don't cut to anything else. It's literally one of those frame cuts. And I know coming from the independent world, it could be that maybe a line stumble or something happened specifically in that take, and we just had to cut out a portion of it and merge it, but we didn't have a cutaway shot to disrupt that clear cut. Like it's not invisible.
Okay.
If it makes sense.
Okay. I'll have to go back. I'm married to it, so I'm just like, it's perfect. So I just need outside.
No, don't go back. It's already out. You've done it.
Yeah, it's true. I can't fix it.
That's pretty much all that I had. I think, what else? I kind of wish you would have told me you was gonna ask me. I'd have made sure I had my list together.
We can talk about
to me like months ago.
Yeah, true. I actually wasn't planning on asking that question. It just kind of came up last minute. But we can definitely.
Well, I think it was a great body of work, to be honest with you, for it to be an action. Like it's really hard to do that.
Yeah, it took forever. Like the action sequences, like when she's chasing the guy. Oh my God, we spent way too much time outside.
How long did you shoot this for?
That I think we did 8 days total.
See, and that's why. I listen, in my recent work, like I'm over these short ass shoots. I mean, the last series I just did, we shot 5 episodes in 5 days. Each episode is about 20 pages.
That's a lot.
It really is. And I was so aggravated because I'm like, why can't we just have more time? Well, because you don't have a budget. And this is a budget that, I mean, it's still low budget. It was $30K, but that was not enough money for me to finagle. I did it, but I wasn't happy with the results.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I had the same budget, but 2 weeks, and I was not necessarily asking for that.
Yeah, it originally was 7, and then part of it's just based on like everyone's schedule and locations and stuff too. Well, I'm like 8 days is doable for 30 pages. Well, 29.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Being that you're a filmmaker,
yeah,
and I've had this trouble, but I'm trying to figure it out myself too. What do you feel about when you're starting off in this industry and you might not have the big budget? How do you go about securing the people for your team and the talent when your budget's low for your production?
A lot of favors. You know, whatever, it's like, it's a process. It's an evolution. Like when you first do your first project, like Sam Magla was my first like actual project doing. It was like me and like 4 other crew, and like that's basically no one. And the budget was super small. Like I think most of my locations were free. Like a lot of things were free, and just building that network to have enough favors to go out and ask people, like, hey, I need this and that and this. And then once those things are done, like my DP friend Michael, like he helped me do that film. In exchange, I've done like 3 like short films for him. And so for me starting out, that's primarily what I do. And then I've noticed that once those resources and connections grow, like so does the budget. If that makes sense. Because, oh, so-and-so does this and they're able to do this, call this person. Okay, cool. Next thing you know, you got work. And I don't advise you spending your own money, but if, you don't have any resources for anyone to come and, throw money at your project, you still want to get it done. You just kind of bite the bullet and just do it anyway.
Yeah.
So
I am, Listen, I am totally against going into debt getting your project done.
Yeah,
I
same.
did that for my first project. I had hella credit cards and racked up over 20K in a project finish. And the crazy thing is, I had amazing marketing and publicity around it, but I didn't finish the shit. And like, I was like, okay, unfinished project, massive debt. Like, when I say unfinished, I mean I'm missing a good chunk of my story. I tried to cut that thing up as many times as I wanted to, and I was like, I got a trailer for it, but I did not get a story, like a longer project. So that right there is what took me out of film. I went into deep depression. I was like,
Lord,
I'm not doing this no more.
Oh, wow.
And I sat my ass down. I took myself off social media. I was so mad at myself because it's like, at the time, I had a group of friends that was like, oh, I'm serious about film. Give me an opportunity. And I brought them on. And I'll just never forget, like, literally having professionals who were just like, I'm going to give her a chance. I'm going to work with her. You know, I had some people who were from the union that came and helped me with grip. I understood, like, I need great lighting for this. Like, I don't want this to look cheesy at all.
Yeah.
I had a lot of DPs, but I found myself literally on film, like on my production day, from directing, producing, damn near moving the cameras, and also operating, sending people the runs, like down to makeup. Like, I was doing everything, even down to like costume. I took like, I want to say maybe like $100, went to a thrift store, filled my cart with a whole bunch of different wardrobe options, took from my closet. I was in leggings and a t-shirt all of my shoot days because everybody was wearing my clothing. And then I was like going to my mom, like, Mom, I need this size in this shirt. Like, let me just go to your closet for my, because I didn't want to, and I guess that's a conversation for another day, but one of the struggles that I have as a creator is that I am always misplacing my value. I think that I am a burden when I'm asking someone to contribute to my dream of creating this artwork. Right. And it's like, instead of asking them, could you help me do this, and looking at it as a dual partnership, I'm consistently looking at it like, oh, you're doing this for me. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to, you know, one, she was saying like, oh, I have to go get my kid from school or whatever like that. And I have to come back here. And then she's like, oh, well, let me send one of our PAs on it, or let me give you gas, or let me pay for a taxi, or whatever. All of those things started adding up. Swiping my cards, like all 3 of my credit cards at the time. And who gives a college student multiple lines of credit?
Right? Shit.
Shoot, man, that was the worst mistake I could have done. But it was because I was afraid of asking the people who were already there for me to do more. Yeah. And I think once they saw that, that's when the level of advantage started happening, where it's just like, you know, oh, I'm going to be 2 hours late to set, or I'm going to leave early because I have something to do, or simply I'm not going to read the script. I'm just going to come and do whatever. And then that's when we're starting to spend more money. I literally had a camera person show up with literally 3 different cameras. We had a Sony FS7 at the time, a Blackmagic, and a Canon DSLR camera. And I'm sitting here telling them, like, I hope you know all of this is not going to match. Like, why do we have all these cameras? This is different from what we were using beforehand. And it's like, I'm going to figure it out. They didn't figure it out. I couldn't focus on directing my actors. I had to go and bounce around from camera to camera to make sure I was getting the shot, while my camera person was on their phone or not even involved, you know? So to wrap this up a little more to make sense, but I struggle with, as a filmmaker, assembling a team of like-minded individuals and who can selflessly, I guess, connect to a body of work. Because I've also, and that's why they say you have to be careful what you pray about, because when I walked into this position that I am, where I can literally create whatever I want to create. The place I work for will throw a budget at whatever comes out of my mind. They're not interested in I don't even think they're interested in the actual industry. They're more interested in my brain and how I operate. So they pretty much invest in my creativity. And
It's a great position to be in.
It is, but I haven't even given them my personal work.
Why is that?
Because I don't know. And I don't know if it's a fear. I don't know if it's
Is it creative rights?
No. And it's not even that. I can keep my control. I can keep control over it. And trust me, I know down to legality how to protect myself. I don't have an issue with thinking someone's going to steal my ideal. If it's for me, it's for me. But in this process so far, I've witnessed going back to, yes, from my earlier stages of making a film and asking favors and thinking that like the people are there because we all agree that this is what we want to do and we believe in the story, to find out that really it just became a task for them and they just lost interest. And I have an unfinished project with hella debt versus now where I pay my creators a pretty good rate, to be honest with you, for the work that they do. And I mean half-assed do, because I've been on too many sets or my own set where I'm hiring a DP and they're just showing up. They don't do any floor plans, they don't do any shot lists, they don't do anything. They just come in the picture and ask me what we're doing today. And it's like, my gosh, like
that's scary.
I put a big bulk of my budget on you so that you can take this ideal, this script, and give in my notes so that you can create something based off of that. No sense of organization, commitment, lack of commitment, not showing up to meetings. Even with writers that just feel like they'll just take and just write whatever. And I hate when I have the writers and they're just literally, and I know I'm going into a tangent, but they write with embellishing of props and location. And I'm like, look, I only got 50K. I cannot take us to an island right now and shoot a quarter of a page thought that you have. Like, can we write with the intention of the story and then we can put those things in later?
Green screen and all.
Yeah, not even green screen, but just like, wow, why do we need to be on the island right now? What's the purpose?
Yeah, true. Write for what you can.
Exactly. So I've been in this process where I've gone from doing the whole asking for favors, believing in me, we're all in this together, to now I'm paying the rates, I am giving opportunities, and people are dropping the freaking ball.
Yeah.
And it's creating me more work. Like, one of the biggest struggles I have right now is stuff that I've done 2018, 2019 are still literally where I'm like post-production supervising because it's not done. And I get people who just like, they believe in it at one point and they're just like, honestly, sometimes I think they're doing me a favor, but it's like, I don't really need a favor. I just like, I got the money, I can help you. Like if you're saying like, I need the money, well shoot, I'm gonna give you the opportunity, but please don't let me down. Like, that's why I'm just kind of feeling like, I don't know if now, like I'm trying to figure out like, how do you establish a team? If money doesn't work, favors doesn't work, like how do you go about finding the person to connect with your work? Really?
Yeah.
Having a team that helps you carry out. That's why Jim Crow was so amazing, because I feel like everybody really, really was committed to, getting this done and saying like, hey, we're committed to it. And I actually think I am moving towards closer to having a team. Like I met you, I met Crystal, I met Marvin, and I feel really comfortable with you guys to say, all right, can we put together our minds, people who we trust to really put together, a team that if we're doing productions, this is the team, this is how we're going about it. But you still need, like, we're all above line at the end of the day. We still need, obviously the production crew to carry it out. I mean, hell, you were on Jim Crow. You were line producing, gaffing, grip.
Whatever I could do.
you know, and we were all like, I was producing, directing, assisting, damn near being HR. And it's like, you know, now distributing, like talking back and forth with execs and stuff and finding money. And we all wear multiple hats. And I feel like as us working as above line, I don't think we ask people to do what we haven't already done. Like we said it before, on our own films, we wore multiple hats, and we've been on other productions where we had to be a PA, where we had to be, you know, a camera assistant or whatever, or production runner. We all had worked those positions to even get to now to write, you know, it's not high level now, but I feel like we did a pretty good work experience to say, okay, we can't produce, we can't do this above line, because we literally know how the rest of those roles operate. So I know I went off on a tangent.
No, you're good. No, and I guess to add,
say
what?
I hope that was usable. I don't know.
No, it was for sure. I'm just kind of taking notes here. We were talking about something I was going to come back to. Oh, what am I doing in the street? So went on talking about Trace. Want to come back to that. Like, I think that for me, like above doing other projects like the new Jim Crow, I think for me, focus wise, that is kind of the thing I want to like put a lot of attention into and like start to build. Cause like I got the pilot done, as you know, and it's out there. It's just like, all right, cool. Like now it's time to like move forward and actually like execute, you know, my true intentions for it. So, and of course, you know, working on the projects, making money, and then, you know, continuing this podcast. So, but also you talked about coming up with a crew, not just crew, reliable crew. And that I've gone through some people who I thought would be, I'm not going to name names, but I've gone through some people that I thought would pull through and do the work that, you know, comes with that role. And they did it up to a certain point and then just kind of fell short, you know, paid or unpaid. So it's hard to find like a niche. Like I only have, like if I wanted like a, say, direct to film of mine, like I'd call Michael and he'd be the DP, no questions asked. And then like if I needed like a casting director or / like associate producer, like I called my friend Ingrid. If I needed like an AD to like put out the fires that I can't deal with while directing, like I call my friend David. So like I have like a good, like including myself, like 4 people. And then obviously probably you and Crystal. And I didn't know Crystal like did so much modeling and stuff like that. Like I went to the website and I was like, oh shit, okay. She's been in like BAT, you know, like a Fox ad promo.
Yeah, like meeting her was honestly like, okay. I used to always say like I can never find anyone that match my work, like just low, like just move super fast. Crystal moves quicker than me. And I'm always being told, slow down. Like literally I would send emails like, I need all of this by tonight. And it's like, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. And I'm just like, all right, well, I'll start doing it and then I will get it done by that night. So it's like we are very detailed. We know what we want. We're like consistently like, she will send me, hey, I need this edit real quick. I will send it back, the edit literally less than an hour. She will send me more. Like we just, it's like we bounce off each other's just kind of like work. And we just like, we go super fast. And then we go really fast and have a high level of craftsmanship. That's one thing I really do feel like I'm lacking. Not I'm lacking, but I'm seeing a lack of, especially in Atlanta, is craftsmanship. And people don't understand, like, when it comes to filmmaking, there is a level of just things like we make stuff for people to see for a living, you know? So we should be able to at least look at what we're doing and making sure that it holds a quality, you know?
Yeah.
And one of my things, especially like with the network I work with, they're so quick of wanting to get stuff out. And it's like, hey, did you catch that? Or did you see this edit or whatever? And I'm like, oh no, I was just trying to get it out. No, like, can we make sure that everything has a specific quality?
Right.
Because I'm all about, if it got my name on it.
Yeah, that too.
it needs to be a specific way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I pulled Trace into post,
Mhm.
like I think we finished shooting like August 24th. Like I wasn't ready with that until like beginning of February.
Hmm.
Like almost 6 months of post production, but like it finally
Yeah.
came out. And like there's still some things I wish I could fix. I can't do it now without pulling it, but maybe for film festival submissions. But yeah, it took me that long to just cut 20 almost 28 minutes of
Exactly.
footage. So
It's a lot of work.
mhm.
Like I just want to take our time, you know?
Yeah,
Like I tell a lot of people too, like as a creator, you have the upper hand. Like
yeah,
what you put out is always going to reflect what has happened, what's going to happen. Like art
mhm.
is art, you know?
Yeah,
So if someone's talking about a craze now, you can literally take that craze and make that movie or that story or whatever body of work of that years later, and it will still have relevance.
right,
So stop, like I was saying, like stop trying to ride the wave so much. Like find comfort in your process of creating. Like
right.
I actually took down, I used to have a whole bunch of so I'm old school. When it comes to script writing, I still really like actually write my script. Like in a notebook,
Mhm.
literally your slug line, all that stuff
Yep.
in a notebook. I pin it to my wall and I do my beats on my wall. And my husband, who just recently bought me Final Draft, was just like, can you stop putting these little poke holes in our wall?
Don't get like a little cork board or something.
I had that too, but I ran out of space.
Oh
And I
shoot.
would never forget literally having a 60-page script like all over my living room. And he's just
Oh, wow.
like, I love your process, but there has to be a better way.
Yeah, true.
You know, and it's just like I took them down and I've been experiencing with this whole Final Draft. And I'm like, I love this. Why was I don't know. It's just something about the action of me just being able to write it. Like I'm getting it out. I'm writing it. I'm seeing it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want any disruptions from printing because I always have that issue for some odd
Yeah.
reason. I don't know how to work a printer. But I don't know. I find comfort and joy in that process.
Yeah. The pen and paper style.
It's funny because when I was in middle school, was it middle school or high school? And I took like this whole, you know, kind of junior video class, whatever. That's how they taught us. They were just like, we didn't really have, like, we had computers, but not enough for all 20 students to get on a computer. So we would just write out our script, put the INT dot bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Morning, skip a line. Because actually, the notebook way helped me learn how to actually format the script, like the actual line and line spacing and such.
Yeah.
So whenever I get a document and it's like the margins are off, I automatically know how to set it up because it's just like I'm used to that notebook format. I don't know. It's it's unnecessary, but I still do it.
Yeah. What's your process of writing? Do you follow like the 3-act structure or what, or 8 sequence or something different?
I don't even have a name for it.
Okay.
My process of writing, and I'm currently writing something that just randomly popped, is I create a beat board and I think about like the scenarios. The first thing that pops in my mind is I for sure want this scenario to happen in it. So I take that scenario and then I take the characters who's involved and I start breaking down my characters. Like, who is this person? Even down to creating a music list for them. Like, what are they listening to? Where are they at in their lives or whatever? Where they work? You know, what's their spine, their wattage, all that fancy stuff. And then I was like, well, how do they feel about this character? And then I start developing like the relationships between the characters and basically saying, well, if this person's objective is this, or character B or A objective is this, we have a problem. What could that possible problem? It's like I'm almost playing God. What obstacle can I throw at them? And how can I get to this scenario? And I do that for every like scene ideal that I have until I can really make a plot.
Yeah. Okay.
It's backwards, but honestly, it literally takes me like hours to do.
Really?
And that's not a lot of time if you're thinking of me before I even get to writing. Like, it's not a lot of time. But yeah, I mapped that out on my nice little wall full of
So
pink.
60-page spaced wall.
Yeah, and it's like I want to be able to understand, and I think it's a little bit of me when I had a sense that I wanted to be in front of the camera, but I was like, nah, I won't do that. But I study acting. I taught acting too. I study acting, and then I studied directing, and I realized like inside that really helps me as a writer too.
Yeah, it's weird how certain things that you on surface and on paper you think, oh, like cinematography, for example, like you think that wouldn't translate into video editing, but like it really does. It helps you select your shots. Like, oh, these shots are going to work really nice together. So let's just, in the edit they will. So let me just kind of translate that into a future project. All right, we're going to shoot it this way. You get creative and stuff like that. But like, having a basis understanding like an edit that these things work much better than, oh, let's go from a wide shot to an extreme close up, because that's just so artsy.
Listen, I'm all for it. If I don't even have to get the shot because I know for sure I'm not using it, I'm not wasting time in getting it.
Right.
I always get like a shot list. It's just like wide shots, a close up, a medium shot of them saying the same thing. I'm just like, but which one are we going to use? Like, what are you interested in? Are you interested in a wide shot? Is it consistent with everything else that we're shooting? It's like, no, we just need to get the coverage. Fuck the coverage.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing it?
Right. Yeah, I actually did that. Well, my first film, because I had the main character play himself 3 different times, so we had to do the same shot over and over.
I've done it too. That's why I added days into production. I'm realizing that I don't ever want to see you in a close-up shot, so why am I spending time doing
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that actually comes from wearing multiple hats. When you have a team that can think like that for you, because ideally we all work together for the greater goal of getting, the project, not just done, but to actually come across as what it is that we're saying that this is about. And if I getting the pitch and I understand from the writer, like, this is the story you want to carry out, I gotta find the director who understands and aligns with what the writer is saying, but also bring I would say a difference or something unique in directorial experience to communicate that, so that person can get it from the actors. Then from that point, I had to take the director, sit down with the writer, and sit down with the DP to make sure, can you visually understand or articulate what's happening? Take that team, because I always talk to my editor at first, because I want the editor to be involved in the whole process. Because, what's the way of just not understanding what's going on, and you looking at this hard drive, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening?
Yep, there's some footage and audio in here.
He's like, here you go. Even down to bringing the sound person. You saw it when we did New Jim Crow. We had Sam, which is our phenomenal sound guy, who came with us through the walkthroughs every creative meeting that we had, so that he could understand, and he enjoys that. He's like, I want to know like what you guys are thinking and what you're creating, because when I get in my element, like, I'm taking the actual feedback from the director and their thought process and creating sound and mixing to that purpose. So like I said, I think that set by far has been like the best teamwork. I think we did the damn thing.
We did the damn thing. Well,
yeah,
however long it took, we got it done.
Yeah, I'm almost finished.
Almost finished?
Almost finished. My producer hat is almost finished with this project.
Good.
Almost.
Is it gonna finish? You finished wearing that hat on the 15th or 14th?
It's now the 18th.
Oh, it got pushed?
A little extra time, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I'm excited for it. There's something else I was about to say. I forgot.
No. There was something I was going to mention. Oh, super, super off topic. I don't know if you and your husband and your son have been tested yet, but DeKalb County Sanitation is doing free COVID tests.
I saw that. Someone sent that to me.
Yeah, I got mine today. They stick a 6-inch swab in your nose.
I saw that.
Oh, it does. It's a weird. It's not painful. It's just like super irritating. Yeah, and it goes in, and they're like, hold for 10 seconds, and you can feel that all in your nasal cavity. Megan, so you pull up. They like make sure that you know your name and birth date and stuff like that. I think they're also.
They do this in your car?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's it's at the National Guard by the sanitation. It's not actual DeKalb County Sanitation. It's at the National Guard building off of Memorial.
Oh heck no!
And
no.
So
my feet like
oh no, yeah. Okay, horror movie fan.
I was getting worried. Like
I got the eye open. Here comes the needle. No, so they have us fill out these little pamphlets, and then your name, your social security, your email, phone number, stuff like that. I think they're also screening. Me and Megan thought they were screening for like immigrants, undocumented people, because they asked for your social security. Like, we're just getting a COVID test. Why do you need my social security?
Okay, I would not do that.
So we're just making hypotheticals. But so then we come through, and then of course, like everyone's in full. They don't have hazmats, but they got the blue and white gowns on, and the masks and the goggles and all such.
I don't know.
And
picking up my nose and my.
It's so weird. Megan she held my hand. I'm like, I've never felt you squeeze my hand so hard in my entire life. So it's just a weird feeling. And then what's even worse is when they pull it back out. Because I don't know what it's doing in there, but obviously,
I feel like I should be okay with this experiencing giving birth, but I just don't want to sign up for it.
Yeah, me neither.
I would not.
Yeah, I'd be a medical miracle, but
that would be so hilarious.
But yeah,
I'm a pregnant man.
Right. I am in my 3rd trimester. Twins.
That's a real life fear.
That's gross. Never ever. Especially, considering I don't even want to go into it. But yeah, you can just let your imagination kind of fill in the blank there.
No, you don't want to experience that.
No, please. But
he thinks he didn't even go through it. He thinks it was the worst traumatic thing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but it's traumatic because he thought I was going to kill him.
Yeah. They have this machine that like puts like little like electrodes on your have you seen those videos?
Yes. No,
and they simulate pregnancy to a man, and he's like, oh fuck that, I never want to do this. So I totally understand if you're like,
probably not even nowhere near.
Probably not even if it's natural.
I damn near died. I'm like, when I want to do this again?
Right. Yeah, how did they do that back in like the 20th and 19th century? Like they'd be having like 4 and 5, 6 kids.
They were warriors. I used to ask my grandma.
Warriors, yeah, Jesus.
How'd you do it?
Yeah.
She did all hers naturally at her mama's house.
Just turn the water on, fill the bathtub, and there we go.
You weren't even in the bathtub.
Just watching TV. Whoop, there's another one.
I was at Emory giving them a hard time.
Yeah.
Like, y'all gotta help me. I was like, you gotta help me. I can't stand this. I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. Can we do something about this?
Yeah.
But
speed up the process.
I know.
Do you have anything else that you would like to say? Question, concerns, comments?
That I haven't already said? I feel like we said a lot of stuff.
We did say a lot of stuff. I guess. Or if not, this can be your time to shine and plug away for social media. Any projects that you want to talk about?
Am I bad because I'm not really on social media?
Okay.
I like social media for me. And we forgot to mention how I was GIF queen, by the way. Whatever you want to call it, GIF, whatever.
GIF queen?
GIF, however.
Oh, I thought you said GIF like okay. I think I meant Jiffy Queen, like the little cake mix. I wasn't sure.
But I don't know. I don't really like social media for the purpose of. I don't. Wait a minute. How often do you use social media?
I haven't really been on it a lot because of the gospel and Jim Crow, but I think I'm going to be on it more now. So
do you think you get something out of it as a creator?
Just sharing, my process and emotional and mental state at a certain time in my life. And then also just like, hey, I have this like, sorry, I thought someone was outside. Like I have all these photos that I take. I do a lot of like street photography and things like that catch my eye. And so like, I like to post things like that. And then obviously any projects that I can post. But in terms of like getting like anything out of it, not really. I just want to be able to like let people know, it's just a creative outlet for me, really. So
I always wondered, and if we haven't noticed already, I am super always grammatically incorrect, but I don't care. But I always wondered, back in the day when we didn't have social media and we still had a movie industry, how did people create buzz around their films? And I mean, I'm not saying that marketing and advertising has never been here. I think we should utilize it for our advantage. If anything, I think social media should be that, and honestly, it is because we see advertisement all the time. Mm-hmm. But I don't necessarily like the ideal, or I push back on the ideal of something being, I guess, taken well or popular based on the amount of likes.
Yeah.
And I understand how an audience work, and I do understand the algorithm, but I will put, and I advocate, and I put my business as far as what I do film wise and what maybe, my clients or whatever, I'll tell them like, yeah, you need to use social media. But when it comes to my personal life, like even down to what I'm doing today, I would not let social media know that.
Like podcasting?
Huh?
Like just saying you wouldn't let your social media platform be like, hey, I'm podcasting today.
I don't feel the need to, and I don't know if that's something I just need to develop and just kind of get with the program. But no, I'll most likely put this podcast for sure. But we're talking about something as I'm at home with my family or family pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I keep those things like away from social media.
Same. I remember like, Facebook would come up and say like, oh, remember this time 8 years ago, whatever.
That's so creepy.
Yeah. And then like I would go, I think at one point a couple of years ago, I just went through and like scrolled through like old posts on Facebook from like,
you can see your growth, can't you?
Yeah. Like, I was like, man, like why no one cares that I'm watching Walking Dead episode 3 of season 2. Like no one like, it's funny we post things that we think people care about when in reality they don't give a damn.
Yeah, and even beyond that, it's just like I think it builds a blanket of what we actually care about. True. And when going back to creating stories that matter, it's just like I see it all the time that people will go online and talk about their political stances and where they are, and it's like you really find out a person's who you think their real nature on social media. It's like I had a couple of friends where I literally thought like we were, cool. You've been around my family. Let's take, presidential run, and you're realizing like you're extremely racist. Like you like I'm more afraid of people like that. It's like you get online and you say these things, and you sit in my face, and you don't have that same identity. Who are you online? So that's why I just kind of keep it completely out, because one thing about me, if I say I'm one person, I'm that person.
Yeah.
Like if you and just to dive in, like being a Black woman that's trying to ride the ropes into above line, which is, you know, producing. One of the things that I was somewhat trained is that I have to find a level of how to communicate that isn't harsh, because immediately when something comes out of my mouth, someone's offended, someone thinks I'm angry, someone thinks that I'm trying to, you know, control the situation. But it's like, no, this is me, and I'm really just trying to express.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get something done.
Right.
So I think social media is kind of blanketing people and their ability to deal with real life and deal with people on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
And being that someone who's trying to go the Hollywood route, social media kind of clouds that. It's like I got to put, you know, extra exclamation points and best wishes and my apologies and stuff in emails, when it's just like, hey, if I asked you to do something and you didn't do it, you already know you do your job.
Right.
But don't come at me like, you know, I'm being wrong because I told you didn't do your job. You didn't do your job because you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And there's not enough oopsies and aussies that I can type to make you feel good about something that you're not doing. Mm-hmm. And that's the extra mind you have to carry. Like I said, being a woman, being a Black woman at that, where it's like, I have to censor myself. And I'm not signing up to censor myself on social media when I already got to censor myself in the world that, you know, in the dwellings or whatever. Right. I think we had a conversation shortly on chat where I was just like, I'm in a corporate meeting and I had to do something differently to my hair to be professional, you know, and it's just like, I gotta laugh to keep from cursing somebody out because I want to keep a job, you know?
Right.
Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. We all know we're quarantined. I can't get to a salon fast enough. And, you know, if I decide I want to put a nice little head wrap on my head, don't compare me to another culture, you know, or take this time to make known of it. We're all here to do a job. So I feel like this whole social media climate is consistently to where, like, as a Black woman, we have to just continue to put a whole bunch of censors on us, and we're not able to live our actual lived experience or to be in our true selves. So I'm a stickler. I don't like putting my family online. I don't like putting myself online.
Right.
Things or like life things. Like when I got married, no one knew I got married. You know, no one knew I had a child until my kid was like almost 1 year old and I post one picture of him. And when I say no one, I mean like people who are not connected to me, because the real people who mattered was there when my child was born, was there when I got married, was there when, you know, I felt good about a project that I've done. So it's just like, I don't want to censor the things in life that are meant for good memory. Yeah, true. Social media does that. But it's good for advertising. You should definitely advertise your brand and your business, but you should definitely have levels of that privacy so you can always remain in control. And I don't care what people say. They're saying, well, you should just hold control and take over the situation. You really don't know, like, what social media do to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm always curious. Like, I've always thought about, you know, because I used to do vlogging, believe it or not, and you know, I've learned quickly that it's not something I like to do. There's some people that are cut out for it. I don't think I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
But I'm always curious to know, like, what are those people, like you got Casey Neistats, the Peter McKinnons, the Marcus Brownlees, the iJustines, like what is their life like knowing that there's an audience of millions of people in front of you demanding content, and how do they navigate that life, you know, of being those YouTube influencers, and then also having a personal life, being married, dating someone, having kids, having, like, how do they navigate and maintain all of that while still having a level of privacy as an individual?
That's a skill. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Not everyone can do that. Even when you think about actors, like they have to take a script and pretty much embody it in the most authentic way that they can. It may not be their lived experience. They might have to pull from something else to perform that, and to be able to get out of that performance and go back to reality without it hindering you in the way you function outside of performing. That is the same ideal when someone is maybe a YouTuber, or they're getting on social media to be this personality, even celebrities. And I feel like we just have to understand, like, this is a role. This is a performative state. We have to allow them to be able to get, like, to basically step out of that and be comfortable in their skin and their world outside of what we're used to seeing them. And I think, when it comes, because I don't get caught up in celebrities and stuff like that, because I still see the human in them. Like, they deserve to still have peace.
Right.
They don't have to answer to us all the time. They don't have to, like, if you're putting out content there, and I always say this because my husband, he's always pushing me to do a vlog, to do all these things. Like, he's currently building me an app. I didn't ask for it.
What app is this?
He's making an app because I said earlier, like, I want to teach film. I want to teach the history of film. Like, I have this whole thesis when I did start my master's that I wanted to do. And because I didn't finish it, obviously to be a professor, you have to have a master's or whatever like that. And I was like, I'm not going to do this right now because I don't want to spend the money. I was
like teach film
like
theory in an app. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Not like okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to right now utilize, like, I don't want to use student loans. I don't want to do this. Like, I want to kind of cash flow it. But then I was like, this is getting too expensive.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it later. So he's just like, do it the way everybody else do. Go online and just give out free content, free information. I was like, yeah. Because essentially that's what I want to do. I didn't want anyone to pay me to give information. I just wanted to give them the information because truly I believe if you give the information for free, and Gary Vee says that, they're still going to probably pay you to do it. Like, people take information all the time, don't mean they're going to actually act on it,
True.
So I was like, just stop with the whole school thing, and I'll figure it out. Well, he was like, well, I'll build you an app where it's like all of your content, all of, kind of break it up as if this was a university course, but put your spin on it. I'm like, why do you want me to be on camera so much? I don't like being on camera. But one thing I have acquired that I actually love, I love talking about cinema, and I would love to inspire other creative artists, to learn cinema so they can understand why they create the things that they create. Like, I have a dying passion of just cinema, simple cinema, elements, techniques, and just understanding why we create and how to push it beyond it being, content, but just kind of like, it could be a comedy. Comedy can change lives. Anything can change lives as long as you have a formula about it. And I think that's what you get out of learning these things. But yeah, he's building me an app. I don't know how. I know how's it going. He still comes in here every day to show me the progress, and I'm like,
nice.
Okay, don't be mad when I don't get up on this camera. But what was I saying before that? But yeah, there's a I think we have to allow them to make that switch into their going back to people who can get up here and be charismatic and be in front of the cameras and be able to do this and give us a glimpse of their life. And sometimes you have to look at it like there's people who are just genuinely wanting to help, and there's people who just want attention.
True. Yeah, there are some.
A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot more that just want attention and build an audience and be like, follow me. And I think there's some also that are like in between, showing personal and, needing, attention and content.
Yeah, because you're putting your film through the film festival, right? Your show.
Yeah, well, I am. Well, everything is like kind of shut down right now, except for like online stuff. And like, I'm not against putting it through festivals because I can take it off YouTube at any point. But like putting it through festivals that no one has ever heard of, and then having those laurels on stuff, like it's one thing to have a laurel, but if no one's heard of like Jim Bob's Film Festival, like who's that? You know what I'm saying? So
you still pay for it, so that's still some of those you still got to pay to put it through there.
Yeah. So, but
I would say when you go through the right festivals, like the right ones, the well-known ones, or ones that kind of have like a buzz, I always see a better outcome going that way than it does just putting it online.
Okay.
If you're thinking like, hey, let's say that, and let's use Crash as an example. Crash was a short film, I believe, that went through the festival, and then it later got adapted into a TV series. Well, I think that happened because it went the route of the festival. I mean, think about who attends the festivals. It's not everyday people, because the festivals are expensive.
Right.
I remember being involved in going, especially the Atlanta Film Festival, and this is me saving up a good chunk of change to be able to attend the workshops, the networking, and even doing some volunteering so I can get access to certain screenings. And I'm like, the everyday just kind of movie goer isn't spending that money to go to a festival. So you got people who has access to resources, money, wealth, who are going to see your film, and they may be potential investors to carry your film beyond the short film route. So I always look at film festivals as an investment.
Okay.
So you should do it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not, I'm definitely for it. I think I had a couple of them. I think part of my logic, and it may be flawed, was that because of coronavirus was hitting the world so hard, the United States so hard, was that people, unfortunately, were out of employment. And so they're spending more time online. And so my logic was, in theory, people are spending more time online with the appropriate tags and appropriate sharing. That would gain traction, and it hasn't. So part of that is just me not sharing it enough and things like that. But so that was my logic.
Are you still connected to your streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So one thing I realized, and I just did this recent research, is that no one is stepping away from their subscriptions. Like, if anything, the sales of these platforms have boosted since we went into this whole COVID-19 thing. So people, no matter the situation that we're in, people are still wanting to be entertained. People are still wanting to look at content. And because they're realizing this, you got companies like AMC who are saying, you know what, we might actually go the streaming route because, they're not going to operate and still generate being a movie theater when no one's going to the movies.
Right.
So they still have to push it out. So they're saying like, hey, we might charge, this amount for you to stream on your TV versus risking your life and coming to a theater that they can barely financially keep up. And this is changing the game of how we're watching TV because now we're enjoying everything from our homes. Like, there's been an attack on the movie theater for so long. I kind of feel like it's almost on its way out. Like, hell, just before Corona, we were afraid to go to the movie theaters because we think somebody was going to shoot it up.
Yeah.
And not even that. Another scare was the scabies scare, where people thought like sitting on movie theater chairs was basically the like equivalent to sitting on a bathroom stall, on a bathroom stall without any protection. Yeah. So there's been countless attacks as far as like, is the theater going to stand around? Are we going to need so much of them? Are we just going to keep traditional like old theaters? But should there be a new AMC build or whatever to make money? And then I think we found out in this climate that AMC is basically check to check or showing the showing when it comes to running their business. They already don't have enough money,
Yeah.
So I think the film festivals are going to still be something exclusively that happens. It might be the only thing that keep the theaters alive, but I think people are wanting more and more information and trying to figure out how to get on these streaming platforms.
Okay. So coming full circle, what so are you suggesting that going the I don't even know how to formulate the question. I'm just trying to absorb all of that. Is there anything? I don't even know. I can't formulate the question. I don't even know.
Just spit it out.
I was just saying, so are you saying that going on a free platform isn't the best idea with something like Trace?
I think as a content creator, filmmaker, however you want to call yourself, you need to put it everywhere you can put it.
Okay.
You need to look at, you know how people say you should have multiple streams of income, or your
Yeah.
film should. You should put it on any platform that generates any type of income.
Mm-hmm.
You can put, but the thing is, if you put your show on a free platform and then put it on a platform that isn't free, and someone knows that it's on the free platform, they're gonna go watch the free.
Yeah.
So I would just keep it, on the paid platforms.
Okay.
And you could do something to where not, overcompensate, because it's like, yes, you can put the show, you can give an episode for free and then put the rest of the series on the paid platforms, and then provide like behind the scenes or just more content behind the show on the free platforms as your marketing, so you can drive people to the platform that's going to pay.
Okay.
I don't believe in free content. Like, we work really hard to put these shows together, like countless amount of hours. Working in the film lab is not an everyday 9 to 5. You can go from literally not being on set for weeks to being on set for the next 3 weeks, and these are 10 to 14-hour days. I've had sets where I had to drive from Gwinnett County to Woodstock to spend 14 hours on set to stay in my car for the next couple of days because it didn't make sense to drive hours back home. And to work on something like that, to be put out for free, it goes beyond passion. It goes with how you value yourself too, because people are already spending money on content. Why don't we want them to spend money with ours? Are we not good enough? We're just as great. We're the upcoming filmmakers. Those people and execs and stuff that are in Hollywood right now, they're gonna die. Who's gonna replace their stuff?
Putting it lightly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Everybody dies, but there has to be a group of people that come in and continually give entertainment.
Right. Okay.
And if you want to do it for free, then don't complain about not getting paid.
There you go.
Do the free route. Hey, that's all I got to say.
All right. That's all I got to say about that.
Wow.
Cool. Well, good. That was insightful. I appreciate that.
Oh, really? Thanks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're not really, you're on social media. If someone who's been listening and watching this, is there anywhere that you would like them to check you out, follow you, see any of your content, all of the above?
You can send a smoke signal through the sky. My name. Just kidding. I'm on Instagram, only Instagram. It's my name, Aezsha. You can find me. No one is spelled Aezsha, so I'm pretty easy to find. Google. There you go. Google.
Hey, Google knows everything, so.
Yeah. Google is just like, there's a nobody, but she has a weird spelling of her name. Easy, but yeah.
You have a website?
It's
Do you have a business website?
Anybody to it because I'm literally
Dang.
working on it. It is Aezsha.com. It's literally under construction for the last 2 months. I seriously need to.
Yeah, I need to pay for my subscription again.
Gosh. And I just keep paying for it, but it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. Do you do like WordPress or Squarespace or?
Oh, Squarespace.
Squarespace.
Yeah. But it's really easy. I would say this. It's easy to maneuver the layouts and such.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole bunch of content that I haven't edited and condensed to put on it. And I actually just got finished doing like my new logo. Like I did a whole
Okay, I see it.
Bumper of me clapping the board or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But I still haven't exported it out of Apple.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Just sitting there.
I know. I'll send it to you once this podcast airs. I'll send
yeah, it's gonna air Friday.
Friday?
Yep, this Friday.
What?
Yep.
Man, I want to see this edit before you put this out.
I'm gonna make you a star.
No, I don't want to.
I'll probably will start working on it today and tomorrow, and then export and show you a rough cut.
Ooh, you're fast, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this Zoom syncs all the audio. It's just one, file.
Oh, that is true.
I just
Yo,
gotta
I
cut.
just found out that it records you. So I had I had my Bible study
Uh-oh.
last night online, and we were early, and I mean I was cussing so bad. I looked up and I saw it was recording. I was just like, "Oh, heavenly, sorry."
Oh, bloody hell.
I'm like, "Oh shit." That guy don't like, hi. Like, can you not watch all that leading up?
Right. Can you just delete that part?
And I mean, like, me and my husband was sitting here just beep, beep, beep.
Right.
Talking
Just
about our day.
one long simp tone.
And you're just like, hey, sent me a text. It's like, hey, you know it's recording, right? I'm like,
Then you
sorry.
go, then you start swearing some more. Damn shit, mother.
I know, right? It's bad, but hey, I'm human. I have a good heart.
There you go. So
It's nice work.
yes, likewise. Well, I just want to say
Really
what?
nice work. I said,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, no,
Really nice
absolutely.
I have a lot of stuff to send your way. You don't even know.
Well, good.
I just got
Yeah, I understand. But
yeah.
well, I definitely want to appreciate you coming on the podcast and having just having this really this really insightful, eye-opening and also like engaging conversation. So I appreciate that.
No problem. Thanks for thinking of me. I know you've been asking for a while.
Yeah.
I just had to give it to you because, I got my hair done yesterday and I was
Yeah.
like, well, now I'm not doing nothing at this time. So
Appreciate it. How long did the highlights take?
I actually had funny. This is how fast my hair grew because these highlights was here.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why I'm growing it, to be honest with you. But it probably took about an hour and a half to get my hair done.
Okay. It's not bad.
Probably lying, but
Oh, like 4 hours maybe?
yeah, just Google.
The average.
I'm ashamed of it. I am known for it, especially at work, calling out sick, showing up the next day with a whole new hairdo. Yeah. I wasn't sick. I was sick of my hair. How about that?
Right. There you go. Some form of sickness.
But yeah.
Okay,
I'm glad
cool.
I did it. I usually don't do anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot with my hair. So sometimes I get like this little lick in the back.
Like a little alfalfa thing.
Yeah, like if you sleep on your head a certain way all night, and then
David, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Really?
Yep.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You just turned 28?
Last September.
Oh, so you're gonna be 29 this year?
Yeah.
How you feeling getting close to 30?
Don't even talk to me right now.
I literally thought, because Crystal told me her age, I'm not gonna tell her age, but she found out that I was 27.
You're 27? Get out of here.
She was like, I do not believe you. Wait, am I 27 or am I 20? Yeah, I'm 27. It's crazy.
Stop bragging, okay? Jeez.
This whole entire time, I thought I was like 28 turning 29 because I literally had a meltdown on my birthday because I thought I was turning 28 and I was crying.
Oh, really?
And, my husband and I, we're only 6 days apart. Birthday.
Okay.
And he was like, why are you crying? And I was like, I'm 28. Oh my gosh, I don't have much time. He's like, you're 27. You still have years. And I'm like, ooh.
Instant mood change. Woo, let's go celebrate.
Ooh, now we got something to celebrate. Life is crazy. Life is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's moving so fast. I don't know, I got married, bore a baby at 25. He's out.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, my 10-year for high school is in July.
Oh, you're going?
Damn. I might. It was supposed to be in June, but the whole COVID thing is messing it up.
Okay.
And
Jesus.
say what?
I'm like, do I have one coming up? I probably missed all those invites.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a 10 years coming. I'm just like, man, it's been 10 years since I graduated from high school. Then I'm thinking back, then I'm like, what have I done in 10 years? What have I accomplished? I've
A
done
lot.
everything. A lot. It's just like, I don't know. You get this mindset of like you focus on what you haven't done versus what you have,
Yeah.
and it makes yourself feel bad. Like, man, I haven't done this and that. Like I said, I wanted to be a photographer for the Olympics, and here I am, just like not doing that.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, and like I said, that goes back to when I was saying, like, I think as a creator, we're just super hard on ourselves because we're so, like, we know what it is that we want to do.
Right.
And because, like, there's no textbook to, oh, you want to be a doctor, you go to school, you take the test, become a doctor, start working, get your residency or whatever. I want to be a lawyer, you study, take the test, be a lawyer. Like, there's nothing that just says, like, you're a filmmaker. Like,
Right.
you do
Here's
this.
your piece of paper. Now
Yeah,
you're good.
I don't even think I ever look at my degree. Like, I think my mom has it or whatever. And
Yeah.
crazy thing, it's plated in 14 karat gold.
Really? Mine's still in the FedEx envelope it came in.
It would have, to me, it would have stayed in that envelope. But granted, I am the first in my family to graduate college. So I had to kind of look at it like, dang, like my grandparents, my mom had me when she was young. They didn't finish school. So it's like, I have to do this in respect, like.
Well, it was a different time frame though. Like you didn't have to go to college to get a nice job, paying job.
That is true. But till this day,
I think that's still true.
Today, do you feel like today you need a college degree to get a nice job?
I think it depends on what industry you're going into.
Yeah.
Like for us filmmakers, like it helps us to learn like the technical side, like, know how to operate a camera, know how to, cut a video together. Like those things I think are very useful for people to know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the internet has become such a universal school so that people don't necessarily need to go to school to be a filmmaker. Like I think you need to go to school to be a doctor. Like if you're operating on people, you can't learn that on YouTube.
Exactly.
You shouldn't anyway. And but I think for certain career paths, you can bypass the societal, graduate high school, go get a career, or I'm sorry, 4-year college degree, and then move into entry level or wherever.
That was kind of you've always been in Atlanta, right?
No, grew up in Michigan.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
And then moved to Charlotte, went to film school, learned the technical side of stuff, and then came down here.
Gotcha. You ever worked in the actual Atlanta industry film wise?
Nothing union, but I've done like a lot of, like this project, for example, like a lot of non-union commercial stuff, fictional stuff, things like that. I worked on a union set as like a PA when I lived in Charlotte, but that's probably and then some other PA stuff. Actually, now that I think about it, I worked a couple days on the Dirty Dancing remake. And that went straight to television and did. And then.
And that is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. She just reminded me. I was an extra on Hidden Figures. I was standing next to Monet Jackson for like 6 hours. Monet Jackson for like 6 hours. I had no idea who she was until I saw the trailer. I'm like, what the? Like she had the scene where she's like watching. You can go back. I'll show you the picture. I'll show you my forehead in the trailer if you want.
So
So the scene is where she's like, she has these 2 kids, and she's walking past like the old TV store, and they see like I think the shuttle come down in the ocean, and I was in part of that crowd scene. Let me hold on. I have some old ass pictures I'm gonna find.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I literally, I feel like I watched Atlanta go from like there's just no production, we only do news, to like big level production.
Yeah.
When I started out, I did a lot of news stuff. Like I worked at a lot of news stations, freelance with a lot of just kind of like corporate commercials, and I don't know, I didn't really get much I would say I did a hell of a lot of Tyler Perry stuff because this is Atlanta. If you haven't done Tyler Perry, it's just he's always shooting. He's always making a movie. But yeah, I don't necessarily think you need a degree to do this field unless you are wanting to go teach. And that's why I took that whole route. And I was just like, yeah, if I'm gonna go and get my master's. And I was like, I'm tired of school. Like,
right.
So if I want to do this, but yeah, I think it's one of those industries where if you have a creative spirit, then I think you can definitely achieve. Now being the time that it is now, it should be super easy. But I would say with those entry level jobs, I think there's opportunity to make a lot more outside of the entry level days.
Yeah.
Is this you?
That's me in wardrobe. They made me shave and like take off my glasses.
No, look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. And then I have some other ones. I was trying to look fly as fuck, like doing like little face wrinkles.
Wow, that doesn't even look like that.
I know.
Baby.
Yeah.
Baby David.
Like when I shave my face, like I look like 10 years younger. But yeah. And then so that was Hidden Figures for me. And then Megan corrected me, it's not Janelle Monáe Jackson, it's just Janelle Monáe.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not. I'm like, whatever.
On Janelle's neck.
Yeah.
But,
so
yeah, there's a lot of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think I forever love independent film. It's where my heart is.
Mm-hmm. There's so much. Yeah.
I thought I wanted to do like the whole Hollywood thing. I've worked in and out of California, going back and forth from LA, and I hate LA. It's a city.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think I thrive creatively out there either. So it seems, but there's hella a lot of opportunities there. I am very aware that if I pick up and leave and go to LA, I would be making more than 6 figures for sure.
Yeah.
But they're higher. Their standard of living is extremely high.
Yeah.
But I don't want to raise my children out there. So
yeah. Isn't that why Crystal moved out here?
Yeah. Actually, Crystal is so funny because we've been preparing for this move. But when I met Crystal, August, I thought as a family we were going to LA. And then I met Crystal, and her being a mom, and she told me, she said, I grew up there, and the reason why I came to Atlanta because it is no place to raise a child. And she was just telling me like her experience, she's been in this industry for so long, and she was just like, it's like a floodgate open when she came here to Atlanta. And I was like, wow. She's like,
opportunity.
Yeah. And I was like, you're coming from LA for opportunity in Atlanta, but I'm having a hard time finding above the line stuff that isn't my own projects or the network that I work with.
Yeah.
That's in Atlanta that requires me to go back and forth from LA. And I'm not afraid to travel, obviously not. And I have that, I'm fluid to where and flexible to where I can. It's just like I don't want to.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, but honestly, I really love independent filmmaking. I love it. I love when I actually love the low budget stuff. I love when people are just like, I don't got the money. We're going to make it work. We're going to figure it out. That's the best time to have fun on set and to really create is when you're being creative to try to, come across something that you may not have funds. And I think that's what make me a little aggravated about the Atlanta film community. If you ever go to their Facebook page, they're always just like, save the money, then make a film. Like, look, I'm trying to make a film. I'm not trying to buy a house with a 20% down payment. Like, they literally want you to go and raise $100,000 on your own, as if you're not already trying to live as a creative and working another job and trying to survive in this climate. You think that I have just resources to go and get money to make a film? And it'd be the same miserable people who are complaining about the union.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. It's like I pay the rate, they don't like the rate. I pay the I would say, you know what? It's independent. They don't want it to be done here. Or it's like it's just always something. I just feel
Mhm.
like there's a cloud of just negative creators in Atlanta that are in the union and just want to complain, while us other creatives that are not in the union and we're just finding a way to just make sure we push out our stuff. We're thriving. Like
Yeah.
we're figuring it out. They just, I don't know what's up with them. Which is crazy because when I used to work on union stuff as a non-union person, the people that I met along the way, they were just like, I hated that I got into the union because it's like it's not creative, it's corporate. All the union does is provide maybe a little stability.
Yeah.
But creatively speaking, like it's a corporate, like they operate that way. So some of the people who I worked on their independent projects came from union and was just like, hey, like this is the only way I still get to be a creative when I'm not working my gaffing job or whatever,
Right.
10 plus hours a day where I can't be creative. I'm just kind of following directions or whatever, or we don't get to put in the input. Or if everybody goes on a strike, we're all out of, money and jobs and opportunity.
Right.
Or whatever. But I still feel like you can still have a thriving creative career financially all across the board if you just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Treat yourself like you're a job. Like I have been freelancing. Like I pride myself when I say this. I have not worked an actual job outside of my field, and it's been almost 5 years. So it's like I've consistently worked in film, freelance projects, creative projects to replace me having to go pick up a second income. If that makes sense.
Same.
And so granted, I know I have a spouse or whatever, but the same thing goes across the board. It's just like, if I want a retirement, if I want, health insurance or all this stuff like that, I pay into those things as a business owner of my production company.
Right.
So it's like I do this so that I can support myself for when something like this happened, COVID, and I can't necessarily be on set.
Yeah.
But I have, I still have to do these things to thrive. Because if you're waiting on the government, they ain't gonna do nothing. So
Right. Like I still haven't got my stimulus check, and just like at this point, I'm just not even holding my breath for it. Like if it comes, great. If it doesn't, I mean, I'm just gonna keep looking for other work. So
yeah, and I feel you on that. It's just like it's one of those things where you just can't depend on the government. You really gotta have a solid plan that you're in control of. And I know in this time you really can't be too much control of because of what's happening. But I mean, I guess that's the essence of believing in the higher power too. So it's just like every time I go into this season, thankfully and gratefully and blessedly, I can say I have not been impacted too toughly with this COVID stuff. I have not lost income. I have not lost any control, but I've gained peace. And that's because I understand like my provision, providing, everything comes from God. I can't do anything. Like the world is on lockdown. There's nothing I can do, but literally sit here and just reflect that literally I take it every breath at a time. Like I'm still here. Nothing is alarmingly shaking me up right now. I'm okay. So, and then, like I said, I still, even with a lot of the post-production stuff that I have, I've been pushing like my job, like, can we provide more money? Can we do this? Because I know this is a quick edit, but can we afford to give more money? Because I understand that some of these people cannot go on set. We can't go on set, but can we be a blessing to some creatives to say, you know what, this job usually pays this, but we're going to pay a little extra because we don't have that funding for, we're not using this funding to actually be on set, and we only have this calendar year to do it. So let's take some of that leftover money and help our creators to keep our team together. So, but you're talking to execs.
No, tell me. Just kidding, not to.
I already know it's like money. Oh no, Aezsha wants more money to spend.
Yeah, it's all about the money sometimes. So,
but yeah, it was fun, David.
Yes, I'm glad. Again, I just want to thank you for coming on and giving me even more insight now and conversation. And this is officially me wrapping up the podcast videocast.
Yay!
So, Yes. Like I said, I'll have this ready Friday.
Okay.
And then do you need to review it, or are you just going to trust me?
Can I see it?
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will looking forward to sharing our next episode next week. Thank you, Aezsha.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.